Alright, this video's for Cody Richmond. And Cody, you got lucky. I've actually been here for a little while today. I've in one spot where I could do something like this. Been on the deer, been spreading asphalt millings that they're grinding off the road out here next to the farm. They're patching it, getting ready to do a repave on it. So I've been doing that for the last little bit, and I got a notification of your comment, and I wanted to talk about this marliss drill a little bit. And let's go back here. They wanted to know, how do you set these marlisses up for how much seed they put down and whatnot. But I'll go over the whole thing. Right in here, there's a nut that goes up against this bearing that is actually loose for some reason. I don't know why. But that goes up against there, and then you loosen this up. I always stick a wrench in here and then take a hammer and tap this right here, and it'll loosen that up, and you slide that shaft in and out. That's how you set the how much seed it's putting out per acre on your poundage. If you don't have a chart and you're trying to guess what it needs to be, say you want to do, let's just use a crazy, or just a number, 50 pound per acre of seed, and you run an acre by your acre meter, that's right there, and then you look in the box and see if it's empty. If it's empty, completely empty, you may be putting too much. You can't get somebody to ride and tell you if it's putting out too much or not, if you got somebody to help you, but that's the best way to double check it, to make sure. If you don't have the charts and everything, just play with it until you get it to where it's only putting 50 pound out per acre of whatever you're wanting to do, or whatever, how many poundage you're wanting to put. But that's how you adjust that. Now, the down pressure and the depth is on these. These are your depth adjustments that goes to your closing wheels, that controls how deep it'll go. You set that through there. Your down pressure springs are right here. There's 4 holes in the bottom to tighten it up down here, and then you can also, it has several, get it in there right there, and you can adjust your down pressure springs through those adjustments. And you just have to play with it to get it to where it'll cut, depending on how deep you want to go and how much pressure you need to get it that deep off of that. So that's how you adjust your down pressure. Now, these did, when they were new, they had an option to 2 different poundage worth of springs. These are the lesser ones, I believe, and I've never had the need for anything any heavier. But I do know when these things were new, they did have an option to get 2 different style springs to go on there, or 2 different pound springs on it. So that's on those, how you set your depth and your down pressure. Now up here, you have your pre-cut disc. The pressure to adjust those is right here. You just pick which hole you need. And if you go that way or pin it back further that way, it'll make it put more pressure. If you want it less, you go that way and pin it down into, say, this hole. And it'll run less pressure on the pre-cut disc. Now, before you do any of that, though, I should have went over this first. You really need to set the tilt on the planer, if you don't already know that, to get it to where it'll ride pretty flat, because then that'll determine, and every tractor is different depending on the height of the tractor. So whatever tractor you're going to run this thing on, you need to set it to that tractor, so that way the tilt, because say this is up higher on one tractor versus another, if you pick it up higher, then it's going to throw off your cut disc on the front, and it's going to kick the ones in the back down further and push them in the ground harder. Now, if you are, say, in a shorter tractor, it's going to dump more pressure on the front cut disc and then take more off the closing wheels in the back. And then it kind of messes with all that. So you need to get that set to where it needs to be first, and get it kind of level to where when it sets down, it's kind of setting down exactly the way it needs to set, and then set your other stuff off of that. So that's my recommendation there. That's how you adjust everything is set up. Now the Cloverbox, I know if I don't answer this, somebody's going to ask. I always get asked about this Cloverbox. I have only ever used this thing a couple times. It works though. It works good. I redid it. You put the chain. This one doesn't have the chain on it because if you're not using it, you have to take it off. And this is the idler it goes off of, and it goes off of that sprocket there. This chain here actually goes down to there, and then it drives that. But we hook it around that when we're going down the road, so that way it's not hanging down. But it's the same way. You just loosen this nut right here, and then this star, and then you can adjust it in and out to set the seeds on it the same way. And that's how it sets up for it. So that's it. It does not have automatic shut off on these Marliss Pasture Kings, if anybody's wondering. They keep dropping seed when you turn around. That's the one downside I do not like, is when you pick it up, it keeps dropping seeds when you spin around, so you lose a lot that way. And I'm not crazy about that. I think the later models had like a little wheel that went down here, and it was actually what drove the planter. And it was a cleated tire, and it went down the ground, and then it would spin, and when you picked it up, it'd pick up off the ground, so that way it didn't drop seed on the later models. But this one here didn't have that. It continuously dropped seed. So that's how those set up. But we're not, from the looks of things, I know a lot of people probably wonder, if you've been following the channel, when are you going to plant? Because I haven't planted nothing this year. This fall, I did plant a little bit back in the spring. I think I filmed that. But this fall, I haven't planted anything. Because, and quite frankly, we're not going to be, unfortunately. It really bums me out, because I had planned on doing what I did last year, because it worked really good on the grass seed that we were putting down for the hay ground. I really liked the mixture we had and what we were running, and so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that this year. But because of the way this year's went with hay, it's not been a good year for our quality hay stuff. So I've got a lot of cow hay or mulch hay. Some of it's just good for mulch if somebody wanted some of that, but I just do not have any. I've got some, but I've got everything I've got pretty well promised out for the rest till next spring to the customers that are our regular customers. So I just don't have any whole lot of hay this year, good quality hay. Not near what I did last year, and it's hurting. We ain't really feeling it right now, because I am still baling hay. Next spring's when it's gonna really hurt. And it's gonna suck. I did have carry over a lot of herbicide this year because of the rain. We did get to spray the cow pasture, so that is one good, well, a lot of the cow pastures, we did spray some of them. So that was one good thing that come out of that, is I am gonna have several cases of herbicide left over for next spring, so I won't be out as much money on the hay crop then for next spring. So that is one benefit to it. But the fertilizer, I haven't made up my mind yet what we're going to be doing on the fertilizer. I may have to skip the fertilizer program I've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years. No, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. And go put down something else. I may have to do, if I can get it, I'd like to do manure, but it's hard to get. But if I don't do that, then I don't know, we may have to put a lighter load, a little bit different blend than what I've been doing, which is going to hurt me in the long run. Or I may just have to put down straight nitrogen, which is the worst case scenario. I don't want to do that. You can get by doing it for 1 year, but you will pay for it in the long run, because it sucks up all the nutrients out of the ground, and you will pay for it putting it back. But I don't know how that's going to go this upcoming year. I can tell you this, this past year we bought fertilizer in bulk. We did have it stored here. I had it brought in on tractor trailers, and we had the company come here and load it out and spread it. That was a disaster with all the rain that we had. Unless it's dry or unless it's drier or dry this upcoming spring, with what I went through this spring putting fertilizer out with their trucks. We changed fertilizer companies because the company I was dealing with decided they wouldn't bring it over here this far anymore, because we were hour and a half drive for them to come spread it. So, and they had cleated tire trucks and stuff like that would go better than the company that we're going with now. I'm probably going to try to get a fertilizer buggy and spread it myself. That may be something different I do this spring that I haven't been doing. And that's going to be something that's going to cut into me on spraying time, because normally that's one reason why I haven't done that before, is because I'm constantly running for two months. Is it two? I think it's 2 months solid spraying every chance I can to get over all the ground. And I just don't know if what we're going to do there. I don't know. May end up having to cut back on doing some of the cow pastures until later on, and then spread fertilizer too. But I could start on fertilizer a little bit earlier, it's kind of really about the same. I don't generally like to start spraying my hay fields till it starts to warm up some. But the fertilizer we generally start to put on early March is generally when I start putting it on, because our hay season starts in April, like third week of April, generally third, fourth week of April, and I need it on by March to get enough growth time on it to get a good healthy first cutting as far as the amount that we get per acre on it. And that's generally when we start, so it's never ending. We have started a warmer spring year. When I got our early start, I have put it on in February, but I don't think this year is going to be that way. I've got a feeling this year is going to be one of those winters that just will not go away, kind of like this past year was. I just hope next spring and summer is a little drier here than it was. I mean, I want rain. We have to have it, but there is such a thing as too much rain. I did not think there was such a thing as too much rain. After this year, I'm here to tell you, I know I've had bad drought years where the ground's cracking open. There's literally nothing there to cut. I'm here to tell you that there is such a thing as so much rain that it is just as bad or almost as bad as that. It literally has rained nearly every single day. It rained from April. No, let's see, what was it? No, it was the second week of May to the end of August. It rained nearly every single day. We did not have 4 consecutive days of dry weather, which is what it typically takes to dry hay out, for that entire time. Because I did not square bale anything between there and there that I recollect, other than maybe one off week that was there that we got a bunch done in 1 week. It rained continuously. We never had enough dry weather. I baled a lot of hay that was wet and that rolled it up, and it got rained on when they said it was going to be dry, and it wouldn't dry. It's been one of the most maddening years, and it made it impossible to get it up, and it pretty well made good hay worthless. Outside of feeding the cows, I can only feed so much, and then there's just not the market to sell it all here in cow hay. And then I take such a hit selling it for cow hay because cows are worthless, and nobody can afford to give me what I'd like to get out of it for cow hay. So it's kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't a year. So it's been tough. But we baled it all. I mean, we had to. I don't have a choice for these fields. I have to keep them mowed off and cut and baled. And it's just been it's been an adventure this year, to say the least. So I don't know. Anyway, that's how you set the marliss up, and a little bit of information on how this year's went. But I don't know. I've got a lot of studying and thinking. I've been thinking about a lot what I want to do next year. I'm just hoping we have a better year next year. I'm going to be in a mess, especially after buying that baler and everything else that we've done this year, and all the breakdowns constantly with something tearing up. Between the truck being wrecked, that cost us a lot of money, fixing that thing. Got a good truck now, but I don't know, it almost would have made more sense to went and bought a newer model, and not even done that. But then again, you couldn't buy a truck as good as that one is there for what I put in it, so to fix it, and it was not cheap fixing it. It was several thousands of dollars fixing that truck. It was more than I thought it was going to be, just because you would think all we did was have to put a new front clip on it, and that was it. No, it was everything in the front end got bent just a little bit and messed up, and it was not a good thing. So thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Cody, I hope that helped you, and we'll see you next time.